Okay, what causes problems of living or presenting problems to arise? So I don't think there's one singular cause or one singular situation that causes presenting problems to arise, but in my opinion and my personal experience, childhood experiences and internal thoughts cause problems of living or presenting problems to arise. This is because, according to CNS Healthcare, two-thirds of children experience at least one traumatic event before they reach the age of 16. One of the first things that I remember experiencing as a child was my parents' divorce and the way that my brain worked through it. And the way that was I would either kind of make up stories or I would finish stories. And what I mean by this is like if I saw an argument or a fight, but it wasn't explained to me, or I left the room, maybe I didn't see the end, whatever it was, I would kind of like my brain would either attach two fights together to complete the story, or it would make up an ending. And I would have like told my mom these things that I remember as the years have gone by, and she would either tell me that, I was right in what I saw, or I kind of mixed things up. Something else was that apparently I got told by my mom that when I was 3 or 4 in preschool, my teacher asked why I was zoned out in a separate part of the room from everybody else, and apparently I told her that I was imagining my mom and dad dancing. So, this is just one of the examples of why I think that childhood experiences and internal thoughts are the main cause. So, now I want to move on to what allows problems to continue. In my opinion, people choose to be comfortably unhappy in their situation. I agree and disagree with this. According to HuffPost, problems need solutions. This being said, they pose the question, could it be that on some level we actually enjoy the challenge our problems present? I don't think this is true. I hit a corner sometimes in these certain circumstances, but I think it's due to the immense stress and mental capacity that is just being overwhelmed. The routine, the certainty, and the struggle, they're not enjoyable, but they might be comfortable because it's safe and it's a routine that's regular compared to the unknown outcome of a presented solution. This is also known as the uncertainty principle that we learned about. Adjustment is hard. You have to hit a point where you can just indefinitely choose to be done being stuck and in routine, even though it never felt like your choice to make in the first place. And what I mean by this is I remember going through something as an early high schooler and being told, you have to choose to make yourself better. You have to choose to get out of this little rut that you're stuck in. And it made me so mad to hear because I wouldn't have been in that state of mind if I felt like I could choose not to be. There really does just come to a point where you have to choose to overcome what you're going through. You have to choose to make a new routine, and you have to be really intentional about what you're doing. So that sends me on to my next point, what helps people move beyond their problems. I think developing meaning and understanding the family systems theory. What I mean is I have come a long way since understanding what psychology today says about family systems theory. They say that one of the most important premises of family systems therapy is that what happens to one member of the family happens to everyone in the family. Because this is where the problem likely began, it's vital to recognize the dynamics of the family and how the event affected who. This also brings up how it can help families and individuals with the Bowen's 8 principles: differentiation of self, triangle, nuclear family emotional process, family projection process, multi-generational transmission process, sibling position, emotional cutoff, and emotional process in society. I've got some notes on them that I want to share, but I don't want to go through them just because I don't want to make this too long. Ultimately, what I mean is that by understanding the family systems theory and that the individual is not sick, the family as a whole is sick, it's motivational for the individual to get better and to use the resilience of the family to get better. This also can help with developing meaning, like I said, trying to understand why you went through what you went through and how it helps you now and in your later life. So now I'm going to move on to, is your approach to therapy more about facilitating or directing? I prefer coaching, advice, and teaching skills, and directive therapy is a goal-oriented approach that provides structure, expert guidance, and practical solutions. Um, According to what is directive therapy and why it might be just what you need, they offer clear guidance and practical solutions. I often feel overwhelmed. Sometimes all I have to do is look at my color-coded planner to be stressed out for the week. But the support for decisiveness is helpful by reducing the uncertainty I feel, and leadership helps productivity and focus. This being said, skill building is very important in my preferred directive approach. Coping skills, family systems theory, immediate feedback, tools and tasks, and efficient problem solving. These are all good for time-sensitive situations, and they are all factors that I have found to be beneficial to me working through different situations that I've gone through growing up. Finally, to what extent do you think effective counseling is a function of the counselor's personality compared to their technical expertise? I definitely think that the majority of effective counseling is a function of the counselor's personality. And this is because although the expertise definitely matters, I think the whole foundation of being a counselor is the personality. A good example of how I can show this is when somebody asks you what you want to be when you grow up. For example, when I've told people that I want to be a counselor and they don't know my level of expertise, but they can say to me, "You're going to be great at that," or "That seems like a job that would be great for you." Um, Things like that because they know my personality and they know who I am as a person, and this has nothing to do with my technical expertise. But in order to gain those expertise, you have to have the personality and the interest and desire um, of being a counselor in the first place, which includes empathy. Actually, I'll read it by this. According to positive psychology, characteristics of effective counseling and counselors, there are 6 personal characteristics that are critical for good counselors. These include having good interpersonal skills and being trustworthy, flexible, hopeful/optimistic, culturally sensitive, and self-aware. And again, like I said, the foundation has to provide the framework. So, yes, I think they're both contributing factors, but the personality is the major functioning factor. Thank you so much.